Welcome to 4v4. This what I don't even know what this map is called. What is this map called? It is called Vielsalm. That's right. I did know that. Okay. 4v4 on Vielsalm. This game is from the French community, which probably doesn't get as much attention as it could. It appears to be quite vibrant and alive though, and we're going to see that this game it's going to be the EZGK clan. Tejo 13, Chinois 136, Super Timur, and Django versus Ogenaire, Executioner, and this is also a clan, FF I guess, Sixel, and Anavrin. So, we've got US forces, Soviets, US forces, perfect balance mix of allies in the south, versus Oster, OKW, perfect mix of Axis in the north. And it looks like we were going to see hard Oster left, hard Commando West right. Whereas we're going to have a mix of both on the allied end of things. We've already got our first engagement happening here in the center. We've got a couple commander selections already as well. Guard motor and airborne, guard motor, rifle, mechanized assault, lightning war, Spec Ops. So 2 minutes into the game, everybody's chosen their commander except Ogenaire, which is pretty quick for everybody to be choosing their commanders. Everyone already knows apparently exactly what they want to do. Ogenaire's the only person who's left his options open for later into the game. Airborne rifle and double guard motor is definitely a pretty solid composition, but the major thing that I noticed that's missing is artillery. They don't seem to have any artillery beyond the heavy mortar, the heavy Soviet mortar. So the Allies may find themselves a little bit lacking in indirect fire here. They don't have the Priest, they don't have the B4, the ML20, they don't have any of those nice late game artillery indirect fire options. So they're going to have to make really good use of their medium tanks, of which they have a lot. And of course the P-47 will go a long way as well. The engagement is continuing to rage over here on the left side, and it's just not going anywhere for either team. The center victory point is already turning into a mass grave, and neither side seems to be able to take it. These riflemen should be able to get the job done though. Assault Grenadiers will only be able to do so much. Meanwhile, Penal Battalion is flanked wide and taking control of the church here, which does pose a significant threat to this machine gun bunker, or no, command post bunker, which is being set up pretty early in the game for a command post. Not a bad call though. He will already be able to reinforce in the field 3.5 minutes into the game, reinforcing those Pios and MG42. But it is extremely vulnerable to being destroyed by a satchel charge, and he already has the munitions for it. Meanwhile, on the right side of the map, the engagements are much lighter. We will see a rifle squad getting eliminated due to a very late retreat, maybe? Wow, gets away by a hair. Or not.
We just lost a unit.
And over Commando West, Stern Pioneers and Kuba Wagon opening over here on the right side. We'll get all of this territory under control. This is one of the few maps that has a vehicle repair facility on it. I forgot that that was even a thing. So I guess they have the vehicle repair facility. And it looks like, oh yeah, there's also a military field hospital on the left side. Okay.
White Star parachute flares
Interesting.
are being issued to improve reconnaissance.
Seems to be a little bit closer to the north though. It's almost like a naturally that would go to the north team. A little unfair. I guess the victory point's a little closer to the south, though.
Report of an infantry unit being wiped out.
I don't know. I'm not super sure what I think about that. Not sure what that Kuba wagon was doing. Dives straight into the Allies, and there it goes. Conscripts on the flank here toss a pretty nice Molotov into this cluster of Axis forces, which are struggling to move thanks to the pitting fire from this Maxim, which moved up to a more forward position. Grenade from the rifleman wipes the MG42, and these Grenadiers are getting cleaned up. And this forward defensive position of the command post just is not working out. Everything is getting wiped as the Allies continue their advance across the left side. And they're just outgunned and outnumbered. This is 3 players are making a coordinated push. Both U.S. forces players and one of the Soviets over here on the left side applying tremendous pressure, and the Axis just can't seem to hold. An MG-42 will get stolen, and I think this command post will be soon to fall. And the Allies should be able to get all of the territory here on the left side under their control as soon as they make their next push. And the American player here, Django, is doing so now.
Capture point is being
We've got a couple
overrun.
caches going up now. 6 minutes into the game seems a pretty good time to be throwing those up and shoring up your resource income. Meanwhile, the Axis have not done the same, and they probably should. These forces are a little far behind their lines. They could definitely be moved up to a more aggressive location since the Axis control almost the entire map. One of the problems with the Allies clustering all of their forces here on the left side is that they've lost the entire right, and while that has won them all engagements over here, and that's a big victory for them, they still are going to need to be mindful of the map control game. And they will probably need to rotate back towards the center and right side as soon as they can. Grenades being tossed. Doesn't connect all that well, but regardless, the engagement is going towards the Allies since these assault grenadiers are not going to be able to win against this many massed Allied troops. Ooh, nice mortar hit. And 2 squads are wiped, the other one will retreat. Not a whole lot of support there from Manavrin, and kind of just watched his teammate get thrown into the meat grinder. But even a coordinated push by both of those players would stand no chance against the full combined might of the Allies over here. And the Allies have thrown a cache on every strategic point that they own now. The final one being constructed right here. They've got 1 munitions and 3 fuel, so they're focusing largely on fuel, and they're continuing to advance. And rather than rotating towards the center or right, they're actually continuing to push straight towards the Axis base, which means that these engagements are going to get very lethal and very difficult for the Allies as Axis forces are more nearby. We can reinforce and make it back to this front line much faster, and a lot of Allied squads are being wiped as a result, and it doesn't seem like a very cost-effective engagement for the Allies to be walking into for territory that doesn't matter that much. Satchel Charge wipes some mortar and deals heavy damage to these Sturm Pioneers, however, and it looks like the engagement will go to the Allies. There's an M20 available here as well, one of the first vehicles to hit the field, other than the Kuba wagons, of course. And with its support, the Kuba wagons over here on the left side should be easy enough to clean up. And another team weapon looks like it's about to get stolen by the Soviets. MG-42 and a mortar now have been taken that I've noticed. This Kuba wagon is not really being monitored, I don't think. Either that or it's just being suicidal. This rifleman will have no trouble destroying it. At that range, gets cleaned up, and the Allies have taken all territory straight up to the Axis base and are slowly rotating their way towards the center. Although they do need to be careful of the anti-personnel minefield on this map, which is in the center. I already hear some of them going off. Rear echelon troop squad apparently took an unfortunate path and got destroyed. It's almost 10 minutes into the game. We're probably going to start seeing heavier vehicles soon. The American players, we've got 1 major here, so probably going to see some Shermans from him. And we've also got Captain Tier from Tejo. Big Axis counterattack. Huge blob of assault grenadiers and a flamethrower making their way up with G43 support here in the rear, and it looks like most Allied defenses are crumbling before them. But there's a pretty strong Allied line back here that the Axis are unlikely to punch through, and they will actually make a slightly early retreat. Still a full health squad in there, but all in all, I didn't find it particularly likely that they were going to break through that Allied line. And a couple of squads here are going to make their way down, take control of some various territories. anti-tank grenade connects with the Jagdpanzer there, damaging its engine despite penetrating frontal armor. Infiltration grenades being tossed at that blob. Pretty nice spread. Dealt very nice damage to deter that advance. And the Jagdpanzer will be able to get to safety. Another grenade forces a retreat from that conscript squad. Counter grenade or Molotov goes out on the Volksgrenadier squad, forcing them to reposition. One flame crit will get through. Meanwhile, the rifle company American player has purchased his flamethrowers after hitting 3 command points and forces a mass retreat from these G43s. And they barely get away. The Jagdpanzer still has a damaged engine. Meanwhile, we've got a bit of a cutoff maneuver over here. Riflemen making their way towards the strategic point on the right side, but he won't be able to cut off any of the resources without also taking this and the center VP or this. So it's gonna take more than this to cut off the Axis resources at this point. And the Axis are actually making a cutoff maneuver of their own way behind the Allied lines down here, not to mention destroying 2 resource caches. This resource cache has been destroyed, and this one has also been destroyed by the Volksgrenadier blob. So nice play by Oceanair to cut off the Allied resources. This is a very significant hit to their economy. Guards toss a grenade. Counter grenade will also bring the guard squad rather low. The engagement will go to Oceanair, and he'll be able to continue stalling on this territory for some time until the Allies can get some more forces into that area and force him away and get their resources connected once again. All other Allied forces appear to be tied up on the front lines, trying to keep Axis counterattack at bay. A Sherman has finally hit the field. This should serve as an effective deterrent to most Axis infantry pushes until proper counters arrive. There is a Jagdpanzer on the field, but with its damaged engine, it's going to be some time before it can be fielded once again to get that Sherman away from Axis infantry. Stern Pioneers making their way up the right side have pushed away all attempts at Allied cutoff maneuvers, and the Axis territories in the northeast will be restored. And we will see a bit of a calm. Fighting has stopped for now, as both sides appear to be healing and reinforcing and preparing for the next engagement, and heavier units are being fielded. A Stug E assault gun, 2 in fact, have just been fielded by Sixel. It's going to need to be careful with these. But they've already had a dramatic impact, wiping a squad as soon as it engages them, taking out a conscript squad with a stolen Panzerschreck. But a T-34 immediately moves to retaliate, and that Stug will be destroyed. Another squad gets wiped, though. Main gun destroyed on this assault gun. The Jagdpanzer is available to support in this engagement, but it looks like that Stug will be destroyed, and there it goes. Lots of hits on the T-34's rear armor. Threaten to destroy it, and the Stug E will take it out. This Sherman is going in a little too deep. Without support, it looks like it's going to get taken out as well. Wow, I've never seen a Stug E kill 2 tanks before. That one got some really lucky frontal armor penetrations. Meanwhile, a Panzer IV is making its way across from the center. There is an AT gun available here to screen. It's going in a little bit too deep, but he's very lucky that Chinois has not purchased anti-tank grenades. Unfortunately, a squad of guard rifles is moving up to do what it can, but they don't have DP machine guns, so it also can't be buttoned. And somehow this Panzer IV is in a huge mass of Allied infantry, but remains unpunished and is now pulling back to safety. Gets free 6 kills, takes heavy damage, but it looks like he is going to get clear. A third assault gun just got fielded by Sixel, and he's moving up to try and disrupt all of these Allied infantry formations. Will probably be successful, since the only thing available to stop him is this AT gun, and it's getting taken out quite quickly. The Panzer IV is continuing to make its way back to safety, and it should receive repairs. And a 4th assault gun has been fielded by Sixel. He has gone absolutely all in on these Stug Es. But that's something he can afford to do because their map control is so supreme. It just seems a shame not to save some resources for Tigers. Various Allied vehicles being popped like balloons, half-tracks going down, various team weapons being cleared out. One of the Stugs does get destroyed here. And the only thing that is saving the Allies right now are these tight corners, which allow guards with their PTRSs to get some pretty good hits off. Look at the amount of damage that these PTRSs are doing. This is almost unheard of. 2 Stugs destroyed. Ostwind and Jagdpanzer are being bullied out of this village. The Axis didn't bring proper anti-building counters to this engagement, and as a result, they're losing all of their vehicles, but not after inflicting massive losses on Allied forces. There's a small engagement happening in the center for the victory point, and it looks like the Allies may get it under their control for the first time this entire game. I think the engagement on the left side went about as favorably as it possibly could have for them, and they will maintain control of the left side munitions, strategic and victory points, and of course the field hospital. Panzer II is being fielded over here to apply further pressure to the various infantry formations, but they'll continue to hide inside of buildings. Anti-tank grenade connects to damage the Panzer II's engine, and I think it will probably be destroyed by this massive guard rifles. Panzer IV making its way towards the center will try to counter the Allied push for the victory point, but it looks like the point will get captured before that happens. Regardless, they will be forced to retreat through this minefield. I'm not sure any of these forces are going to get away alive. Oh. Well, they took a more favorable retreat path. Paratroopers, on the other hand, are probably going to die. Or not. They somehow managed to make it through. Oh, they took that retreat path because there's a major retreat point set up over here on the left side. So that actually, that helps a lot. And I think this is the first EZ-8 to hit the field, making its way straight towards the center to continue to defend. Axis infantry making their way through the central minefield take huge casualties and will be wiped if they do not retreat immediately. Not sure he's watching that engagement, and he loses the full squad. Axis troops continue to try and fail to push over to the left side. The Allies have set up a sufficient defensive line with all of their combined forces that every Axis counterattack is shut down hard. But at the same time, the Allies have made no attempt to take any territories over here on the right side, which as of right now are still pretty lightly defended. There are further defenses being constructed by Stern Pioneers in the area, but I believe a combined, coordinated push by Allied armor could easily break through these defenses and get some of this territory under control. The question is, could they do so without losing control of the left? And they're going to have a pretty long, hard game ahead of them after surrendering the entire right side to the Axis for this long, and they have a 150-point victory point deficit. Another Panzer II has been fielded and immediately takes engine damage. Another Stug gets popped like a balloon by various anti-tank weapons in the area. This one will probably be next. Sixel really needs to work harder on keeping those things alive. And we have quite a few mortars deployed over here on the left side by Chinois, who has fielded himself 2 Soviet mortars, I think. Oh no. He actually has 3 different kinds of mortars over here. All 3 of the different mortars that you can possibly have are over here. The Soviet heavy mortar, the Soviet standard mortar, and a Granatenwerfer German mortar, all fielded over there on the left side behind that building. So he has a very diverse army of mortars set up to counter whatever it might try and push towards the left side, making the area very dangerous for Allied or Axis infantry. And it would seem that Axis tanks are not having a whole lot more luck getting gunned down by Allied anti-tank weapons and various infantry every time they try and make a push. And it's because their pushes are not very well timed or coordinated. They seem to be going in one at a time, and single Axis tank pushes, obviously, are not going to cut it. Stuka close air support has been called in towards the center, and strike zone ends here, so it would behoove the Allied player to get out of that strike zone now, especially since a huge attack is making its way towards the center, and it really stands no chance of surviving this. Anti-tank weapons making their way to the front lines with Panzer IV support. It looks like the center VP will fall. He's trying to stall for time here, gunning down these grenadiers in red cover, forcing one retreat. Wow, that's one lucky M20. The stupid close air support just got his main gun destroyed. But a full squad of riflemen has been destroyed, and this Sherman EZ8 is probably going to be next. One Panzer IV forced to disengage slightly. This one continues to close the distance. Not being too aggressive with it though. Playing very careful with this Panzer IV. He does not want to lose it. But that stupid close air support just popped one of his flamethrowers and brought that Sherman EZ8 extraordinarily low. Panzer IV falling pretty low as well, however, and a lot of Allied infantry has arrived to support in this engagement, but more rifle squads are getting wiped. This one may be trying to go for an anti-tank rifle grenade, or not. The EZ8 may in fact be able to take it out. It has to pull back to safety now. This Panzer IV unfortunately has been repaired. This one goes up in flames though from a lucky EZ8 shot. Stolen field gun is trying to lay fire from range. He could utilize the light artillery barrage to apply pressure to those rifleman formations. Engagement doesn't really seem to be going in anybody's favor. Lethal on both sides. The M20 and its crew almost completely destroyed, and the EZ8 has pulled back for repairs here. We will have the engagement continuing over here on the left side. Whoa, what is he doing? If he self-destructs this truck by his own Jagdpanzer, it will be destroyed. Why? Well, that was strange.
A medium tank was destroyed.
Not sure what motivated that decision. But apparently, the engagement was not going very well anyway. The Allies have taken control of everything over here on the left side and destroyed all forces that were available to defend. Some riflemen have been outfitted with bazookas and should be able to apply a little bit of light damage to that Panzer II, unless they fire those Volksgrenadiers instead. And they will retreat. Now, one of the Panzer IVs that has been destroyed has now been replaced with a fresh one, going very heavy into Tier 3, and that's a dangerous thing to do in a 4v4. You need to transition into Tier 4 and get Panthers as soon as you reasonably can, because if you don't, you won't have enough armor to survive everything that the Allies can throw at you in massive quantities, especially Jacksons, AT guns, whatever it is. You need that extra bit of armor. It looks like we're finally going to see an incursion by the Allies towards the right side. However, light it may be, it's still something, or not. Completely disengages. He was simply chasing a retreating squad, and it gets away, and he will completely disengage and continue to fight for the center, which may prove difficult since the defenses available here are rather strong. 2 Panzer IVs, a field gun, some supporting infantry, and a Tiger has just been called into the field. 24 minutes into the game, and the heavy armor has started to arrive. Paratroopers outfitted with Brownings are making their way up the left side to counter various Axis infantry formations trying to push for the western village. But so far they have not been able to break through. A Jackson is being fielded up the left side to alleviate the pressure that Tiger is applying. Meanwhile, an engagement for the center has been rejoined. The EZ8 makes its way to the front lines with the vetted EZ8 as well. Panzerfaust connects with this one, damaging its engine, but it looks like the Panzer IV will be destroyed. Stuka close air support has been called in, however, and this first pass could be very damaging. It inflicts several rifleman losses, but fortunately does not connect with any tanks. Main gun destroyed crit on the EZ8 in the rear may save it. Panzer IV is attempting to chase, but it must expose its rear armor to the EZ8 to do so. The field gun, meanwhile, up here is also firing on the EZ8 from range. Panzer IV shot connects, but the field gun shot misses, and both EZ8s will disengage from the fight and fully repair. Meanwhile, one Panzer IV has been destroyed, the other one is also pulling back.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Now, Stuka close air support unfortunately finishes off the Vet 2 EZ8. The unvetted EZ8 awaits some repairs, but repairing in the strike zone is dangerous. Where does the strike zone end anyway? Right here. So this is actually probably move his forces out of that strike zone. He's made the same mistake twice, and he's paying in his soldiers' blood.
We lost an infantry unit. They got wiped out.
And we'll have another small moment of calm. Engagement happening here in the center between some riflemen, and these tanks should not go very well for the American. Ostwind and Panzer IV support in the area. Whoa, never mind. A huge infantry push by Allies making its way forward, and those tanks will be pressured into retreating. Panzer IV in particular falls dangerously low and needs to get out of there. Ostwind is getting some okay-ish hits off on these guards, but none of them are going down. An AT gun has been recrewed and will screen those tanks away. Over here on the left side, the Tiger is still going strong, up to 11 kills now. It's been fully repaired and is making its way towards the left side village. There are two T-34-85s and a Jackson available to counter if necessary. Apparently an EZ-8 has been stolen. I don't know how this happened, but Django gave an EZ-8 to the enemy. That is not good. An error like that is much more easily corrected in 4v4 than 1v1 though. In fact, you don't see that many 4v4s where somebody's tank doesn't get stolen. It's really just a matter of time. From so far behind enemy lines though, that just adds insult to injury. It looks like we may see an actual push for the right side for the first time this game. 30 minutes in, they certainly waited, they took their time, but it's going to happen. The EZ-8 still has engine damage, and those T-34s are going to attempt to hunt it down. Both get hits on that EZ-8, and it looks like it will be destroyed. Their position at low elevation is making it difficult for them to hit, unfortunately. White phosphorus is being deployed in the area to make it difficult for the approaching infantry and tank to fire on these T-34-85s, which are actually trying to disengage. These infantry are all walking through the phosphorus smoke, leaving themselves extraordinarily vulnerable. Fortunately, they have enough anti-tank weapons in that blob to deter a push by these tanks anyway. If the Allies had decided to go in on that and try and crush those various infantry formations, I think they could have inflicted devastating losses with all three tanks, but they decided instead to disengage, having accomplished their mission of destroying the stolen EZ-8. Super close air support has been called in on this area again, and these tanks still haven't left the strike zone.
Receiving effective fire! Contact! Infantry assaulting! Contact! Small arms fire!
Riflemen sneaking behind enemy lines managed to wipe a Panzerschreck squad. Possibly two, in fact. But they retreat before given the opportunity.
Taking fire!
He has not researched grenades, so a grenade right there could have been huge. And I'm not sure that squad's going to survive its retreat unless a T-34 arrives to screen.
Incoming fire!
As for engagements on the left side, they continue to go in the Allies' favor. The Axis have failed to take the western village despite having a Tiger at their disposal. But perhaps two Tigers will be able to do what one could not. And by two, I of course mean three.
Reinforcements complete.
With a Stuka.
Ready for action. The squad is back to full strength.
Riflemen get cut down on the right side, trying to provide vision for fire being laid upon the Schwer Panzer headquarters, but it still has not been destroyed, and the Allies don't seem to be willing to commit to a big push over here. A push that I still think would succeed.
Under attack! Return fire! Return
These guards making a bit of an ill-advised charge. will probably be forced to retreat since they don't have armored support. Well, now they do, but it's a little late. We're going to see an attack over here by these two Jacksons, which just exposed themselves to way too much enemy fire, and I think we will see one go down. Oh! I thought they were going to make a miracle escape there. Tiger missed its shot, but the field gun did not. P-47, however, gets called in on the area, and Jackson's brought the Tiger sufficiently low to put it in enough danger that it must retreat. But I think both P-47s just got shot down. At least one of them did by the Oswins, so he probably doesn't need to get clear of the strike zone. Regardless, he's not going to take any chances. Oh, wait, he didn't get shot down. Panzer IV is destroyed by that pass. The Tiger, however, will survive and make its way back to safety. The two Tigers over here from Sixel are making their way forward to deal with allied threats. A Jackson is firing upon them from across the trench, however. P-47, the one remaining, gets a decent pass off, bringing that Tiger down to half health. It's falling even lower thanks to Jackson and T-34 fire. T-3485 destroyed. Both Tigers make it to safety with just a little bit of health remaining. They'll be repaired and sent back to the front lines shortly. Meanwhile, the Allies' attempts to make a push on the right side continue to fail because they are not committing sufficient forces. And even though this is a light defense, it's going to take more than one tank to break through. The Allies certainly have the resources at their disposal to make a push on the right side happen, but they just don't want to give up what they're using to defend the left.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
Bit of a blob over here from Executioner is trying to see what it can do, provide vision, and as usual, it fails to accomplish anything.
Get ready to go, men.
Going to see another push here by the Allies. The EZ-8 will absorb all fire from the Tier 4 structure. Nice grenade, wiping out all defending infantry. And we may finally see the Schwerpanzer headquarters go down over here. Conscripts are forced to retreat, but guards with their PTRSs will do pretty decent damage to the structure, as long as the EZ-8 remains in range to tank its fire. But it doesn't. It had to pull back. It was falling a little too low. This one moving up to a tank fire is late again, and his teammates' infantry pays the price. This elevation is... Look how many projectiles have collided with the ground instead of the intended target. Putting the Tier 4 structure here has caused the Allies to have to run a gauntlet of death just to get in range. If they were attacking from this angle, they might experience a little bit more success, but really the issue is not the terrain, it's that they are not committing enough forces and they're not timing their pushes correctly, sending these tanks in one at a time, and then retreating, allowing the infantry to get cut down. They just need a little bit more teamwork. They need to time their engagements a little bit more favorably and commit. Paratroopers engaging here in the center will cut down a few Grenadier squads. Some late retreats, or non-existent retreats, result in those squads getting wiped. 3 squads, I guess, and that one might get away. Tiger missing all of its shots on that clump infantry formation. There it goes. And we're going to see another Axis attack. Over here on the left side, there's a demo charge here. That's a pretty scary looking demo charge. Axis player just asking to get blown to smithereens, but his 2 Tigers are applying pressure to the paratroopers here. Could be able to take out a few Jacksons, which are making their way to the front line to try and counter. Demo charge goes off and doesn't really do anything, unfortunately. 2 Jacksons laying fire on the rear armor of that Tiger. Pretty bad Tiger maneuvering right there, exposing its rear armor, and it's brought down to almost dead within seconds. It's trying to round the corner, get behind the safety of this building. And it will succeed. This Jackson will be forced to disengage after seeing its teammate go up in flames. It looks like we're going to see another push for the right side. This one I think is going to go a little bit better. We're finally looking at a coordinated push from all three players that are available over here. 2 EZ8s, 4 squads of guards, and 3 T-34-85s is way more than this lone player can fend off by himself. A few squads of infantry available to support too. They're poised to strike. Yeah. He's going to disengage and make his way back over to the left side. That may not matter though. These 5 tanks are still more than enough. And it looks like they're about to make their attack now. Meanwhile, on the left side, 1 Tiger at half health moves up to take out priority targets, but it will get pushed away by a vetted Jackson. And it blitzes to safety. Another Tiger is being deployed, as well as this one. This Tiger, however, just hit a mines, taking heavy damage from an AT gun. Has to pull back to safety. This Vet 2 Jackson also poses a serious threat to any heavy tanks that would expose themselves to its cannon. Finally, the attack is happening over here on the left side. Artillery is being dropped. White phosphorus smoke to disrupt line of sight and deal heavy damage to the infantry in the area, and everything will be wiped or forced to retreat, and the Tier 4 structure will be destroyed. And there it goes, clearing the way for the Allies to finally take control of some territory here on the right side. A Panther has been fielded to try and counter, but that's not going to be nearly enough to take on 5 Allied medium tanks. And the Panther is destroyed easily. What remaining infantry survived will get cleaned up here on the battle group headquarters, and the Allies will easily take full control of the right side. If the Axis don't make a successful counterattack here on the left, then all of Augener's losses there on the right side, taking up the Allies' attention and forces, will be in vain. He's reduced now to only 2 squads of Volksgrenadiers. Everything else he had on the field has been destroyed, and he has very little resources with which to shore up his losses. A Tiger is trying to make a counterattack here on the left side, but it's woefully unsupported. Regardless, it destroys a Jackson and forces a Katyusha to reposition to safety before being forced to reposition to safety itself. An American AT gun gets 2 shots to penetrate, but does not do sufficient damage to destroy the tank entirely. This tank is being repaired behind the front lines, and this one has also been restored to full HP, so Sixel is now operating on 3 Tigers, and I'm not sure he's lost one yet. That situation may change, though. Jackson is hunting, diving deep, but it does not find its quarry. Destroyed. T-34-85s moving up to try and do the same are in a lot of danger. 2 full health Tigers moving up to screen their advance, and they may get punished for overextending. But they will make it to safety. For now. And this Tiger makes it away from the Allied advance and will be fully repaired. Meanwhile, on the right side, the Allies are repairing various tanks, capturing the victory point. Puma making its way up to see if it can make anything happen, but against 3 EZ8s, I find that rather unlikely. One squad of supporting infantry trying to help. But their Panzerschreck shot misses. Regardless, this EZ8 should definitely be moved to a more safe location. Main gun destroyed. That was a stroke of luck, but this engagement is clearly not being monitored. There it goes. Regardless, the EZ8 will be destroyed. Meanwhile, over here on the left side, Axis are poised to make another big push. 3 Tigers, which have all been fully repaired, plus another one here, Panzer IV. There's not that much available to the Allies to defend. We're looking at mostly indirect fire units, 1 AT gun. There's no excuse for the Axis failing to punch through this. Support is on its way, though. They have a very limited window of opportunity, and they need to capitalize on it now. P-47 gets called in to screen these tanks away. First pass is not all that effective, unfortunately. The Vet 2 Tiger, however, has been brought down rather low thanks to sustained Jackson fire. It will be forced to retreat. The Vet 2 AT gun gets fully destroyed, and this Katyusha is likely going to follow. There it goes. Allied armor has arrived in a huge quantity, though. This time, it's the Axis that timed their push terribly. All 3 Tigers are destroyed. His teammate was nowhere to be found during the course of that, and there were no supporting anti-tank weapons. This huge swarm of Allied armor proved more than enough to clean up those 3 Tigers, and these 2 tanks will probably be next. Massive volley of damage annihilates that P4 from full health. And now the chase is on as this lone Tiger tries to survive the onslaught of Allied armor. Over here on the right side, EZ8s are driving straight into the Axis base to pick up any targets of opportunity that they might find, including a huge blob of Axis infantry, which is just standing there. I don't even know what that's doing there. Stuka gets a little too close to the front lines, not sure what that was thinking. A fresh Tiger has been deployed by Sixel, but it's unlikely to survive his next engagement. Meanwhile, a bunch of infantry is making its way across the left side to try and get victory points under control. It's currently 150 to 250, the Axis having a significant lead, but Allies doing extraordinarily well in engagements, and I'm not sure that the Axis will be able to survive the next series of engagements as Allied armor swarms the entire battlefield and takes out priority targets everywhere. All of these Axis infantry are about to get cleaned up. These tanks are disengaging, but there's really no reason to do that. I don't even know why these infantry are charging. There's only 1 anti-tank weapon in the entire blob. Retreating further back to headquarters, but I don't know what that is going to accomplish. These EZ8s are on a rampage, cleaning everything off the battlefield. The only significant threats remaining are 1 Tiger and 1 Stuka. And there you have it. The Axis will surrender. Coordinated pushes by Allied swarms of medium armor win the day again. We've seen it time and time again. It never seems to fail if the Axis are not sufficiently prepared. I wasn't sure the Allies would be able to come back from their huge map control issues early on in the game. They made no attempt at taking the right side, but when they finally committed to a big push, it was successful, as predicted. Good game. Allies win.